Ooh, it's an interesting evening. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing? Yeah, that's the energy and that's the trademark. How are you all doing? Because your welfare, your well being is priority right here on Alpha M Studios. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Alpha M Studios, as you know, and we're going to have an amazing time. It's a delight to be here. I've been away for a while, and I miss a few very important people. Everybody's important, first off. Yeah, everybody's important before we will start riots this evening. But it's a delight that it's good to be back home. It's good to be with you. I miss a few people like Selton Prosper, Jacinta, Gentle Photos, and a whole lot of people. And tonight we have people behind the cameras also who make sure that this job, goes on smoothly. We have the likes of Mr. Rex, and we also have Mr. Paul on the system. It's really a delight. All right, so we're going to shoot in properly. Before that, I think we could go over a few of our pictures, just get to see a few of our pictures for the contest. I think I should begin this way. For those of us joining us for the very first time, this is R4M Studios. R4M stands for Ready for Marriage. Ready for marriage. It is something we enter into intentionally. Marriage isn't something that, it shouldn't be based on hypothesis. It shouldn't also just be based on looks, as much as looks are important, but it shouldn't just be about looks. So Ready for Marriage, R4M Studios is the very place where you are prepared. We have seasoned counselors with experience and vast, and you get to glean wisdom from them as you get ready for marriage. This is also that very platform where you get to meet the man, you get to meet the woman who you've always desired to have in your life, to build a beautiful life with here on R4M. Also, we'll be running a photo contest for those who have been a part of this journey. We'll be running a photo contest, and it's been interesting. We've seen beautiful pictures, and so we're going to see a few more this evening before we go into our discourse for the evening. Also, after we have the photo contest, I'm going to be sharing with us on a particular topic. So I'm just going to leave it for those of you who haven't read it already. I'm going to leave it. If you've read it, that's fine. Yeah. So we're going to have an amazing, engaging conversation. Okay, so let me just say it, because I know almost everybody would have seen the topic for tonight, and the topic is critical questions on the first date. What are the very critical questions you think you should ask on the very first date? All right. So before we move into that, I just want us to go through a few picture reviews. For those who still would want to send in their pictures for the 1 million naira contest, you could just learn from a few things I probably will point out, and then you will work on them and be able to send in your own picture. Send us a DM and send your picture. So, Mr. Paul, if you're ready, I am ready. Also, please feel free to like, comment, and share this particular video. That's the essence. We want to meet with you via social media. We want to interact with you via social media. So please do well to, so it's really not a monologue. It's actually supposed to be a dialogue. All right. So please do well to send in your comments, send in your thoughts about the topic when we start the discourse about the topic. So I have the first picture. Oh, I like this swag, I like this swag. It's a very beautiful picture from one of our contests. This contestant 101, I believe, yes? Okay. All right. So Let's move to the next. This is a beautiful picture, good background. Dress looks a little bit busy, but good background, good posture, good poise, confidence, which are part of the criteria we actually need for this context. So it's a beautiful one. So yeah, let's move to the next person. So I have Kilti Chindo, who is Kilti Chindo. Kilti Chindo, it's good to have you online. Good evening. Now this guy who they put person for trouble. How could they call me boss? How could they call me boss? How could they call me boss? And even if you want to call me boss, Baba, you have to be specific. Is it 14-seater boss or is 18-seater boss? I don't like when people are not specific. See, now make people they marry wrongly. Because you're not guy. Be straightforward. Be specific. What you are calling. No less. Anyway, it's good to have you. It's good to have you, Chindo, Kilti. Chindo, it's good to have you online. Please, if you're joining us, do well to say hi. If you can't say hi, you can say hello. But we don't want you to say bye because we're just starting. We're just kick-starting. All right, we have the next picture. Oh, that was the first one. We have the guy in the red. Okay. I'm hoping we're not malfunctioning because I was going to comment on one and then one and then one and then one. Okay, so I love this guy with the white Babariga. Please, can we take it back to 3 people backwards? So please begin to get your notes ready based on the topic, which is what are the critical questions you would consider? What are the critical questions you would consider on a very first date? And that also implies that what are the questions you should not consider, okay? I'm still seeing the guy with Babariga. I'm thinking it's my network. Is it my network? Okay. So anyway, the guy with the Babariga, good posture. He looks confident. He's definitely Yoruba. I don't know. I'm not a prophet, but he's definitely Yoruba. Okay, so I can see the lady, God's glory. She has a blue and a white. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. She has a nice smile. I mean, we can't see her 32 teeth, but then she has a very beautiful, nice smile. And yes, I hope she's also watching to see herself on our live this evening. So we've seen the guy with the white, Babam Riga. Bum 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 riga bum 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 riga bum bum. I know play when I small. Yes, let's move on. Let's move faster now. We'll go faster now. Please start making your notes, start making your points based on the comments, based on the topic for today. So we have the next lady. Very, very interesting pose. She looks really good, really, really good. Oh, okay, interesting. Oyibo Pepe. She looks really good. Okay, keep sending in the pictures and you just can never tell. You might be the very person that is going to be the face of R for M winning ₦1 million. Okay, the next person with the striped shirt. Great guy. He looks handsome. But then there's a challenge. I'm tempted to say you should bribe me so that I should tell you where you have missed it because anyway, so this picture looks from every indication as though it's actually a selfie. Am I correct? It looks like a selfie. So, well, I won't disqualify you because I'm not the judge, right? But I'm just here to help you so you follow the rules. So we don't do selfie pictures, neither are we going to take an AI picture. But your picture should be beautiful and well edited, all right? But not a selfie picture. Let's move faster this time. Please do well to share this video so your friends, family, enemies if you have any, and witches in your village that plan to fly tonight can come and be better people on R4M. Because we share love. I mean, you can't have a relationship without love, yeah? So yeah. Next picture. Okay, I think it's still loading. It's still loading. Okay, so let me go to the topic for today. The topic for today. The topic for today. Okay. So the topic says, what are the critical questions to ask on a first date? Critical questions to ask on the first date. Critical questions to ask on the first date. I mean, having to see a lady or having to see a guy, as the case may be, you definitely begin to have questions pop up in your head, because if it's someone you're interested in, then you definitely would. Questions are like doorways. You know, when you build a house, you don't just appear and reappear in the house. Even though I know there are people into spiritism that can appear and disappear. But for a regular, normal human being, you don't build a house without a door and a window, right? So your door is a doorway into the house, or it's either an entrance or it's an exit out of the house, right? So that's the same thing with questions. You don't really know a person except you ask questions, right? And then it is possible to have a very long conversation, and yet you don't have a very, very qualitative conversation, because you're not asking the right questions that needs to be asked. Okay, so I'd like to hear us on our thoughts. We already have Chindo online, so I'd like to hear your thoughts. Okay, I'd like to hear your thoughts. What are the critical questions that you would consider with someone you just are having the very first date with? I mean, okay, so let me think of an extreme question. For instance, in fact, I think we should consider what's an extreme question. An extreme question, is it dependent on the person you are going on a date with, or there are general extreme questions and general basic questions? Those are things we need to also look at in this show, okay? So I'm still waiting for your comments as we get to hear. Chindo, I hope you're not here to just glean wisdom. We also like to hear, I should say, don't toast babe before, Chindo. So we'd like to hear you share with us what you consider a very critical question. So while I wait for, our viewers, I would like to start with, one of the questions that I consider a very critical question. And I think to a very large extent, everyone watching this show is going to actually agree with me that this is a very critical question. So one of those questions you should be asking, of course, I mean, you don't just meet a person and start asking very deep questions. You start with your name. What's your name? What do you do for a living? Where you're from, right? Those are very basic questions. In fact, those are questions that are doorways that would even determine if the lady that's speaking as a guy, if the lady would want to go with you on the first date, right? So you ask those basic questions. Those questions are not so deep. Asking a person about their name is not a very deep question, except the person don't like you, except the person don't rate you. They probably would snub you and walk off. But I trust we have very beautiful and cultured ladies, right? So those are basic questions. Sorry, just give me a second. Those are basic questions. However, when you now go on a date with someone for the very first time, and before then you actually have seen that this person looks like someone you would want to really build something serious with, right? We're not necessarily saying meet today, engagement next weekend, get married next month. No, that's not what we're talking about. But we're saying there are certain qualities. There's a demeanor. There's a demeanor about the lady or the guy that actually beckons on you, that actually commands your attention. and you want to give this person a thought, right? You want to give this person a try and see where it goes, where it leads. There are certain questions that you should be asking. One of those questions is faith, right? Faith. 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 Primarily, we're human beings, right? We're primarily human beings. However, when you begin to consider someone for a serious relationship, it is imperative you have common grounds, right? You have common grounds, and faith is one of those common grounds. So I'm not talking left, and you're talking right. Faith has to be a common ground, and for faith it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to agree on every level, but there should be some kind of meeting point, right? So you're able to have a more qualitative conversation, and in the long run, you both leave each other more refreshed. You both leave each other, energized, edified, right? So faith is one of that critical question, regardless of whatever faith you belong to. If you're Hindu, you're Christian, you're Muslim, whatever it is imperative that you understand the faith of this person that you are actually trying to engage with in a conversation and build something solid with. Because if you don't do this, truth is, butterflies in the tummy actually has, a time frame. After a while, you have to start dealing with real life issues, and faith is one of those things. And if you eventually happen to get married to this person, you would definitely want to discuss, right? You definitely want to discuss how, the faith of your children would be if one is probably Hindu, the other is Muslim, or one is Muslim and the other is Christian, or one, believes in African religion, right? So it's imperative that you have a common ground. A very common ground also that I've seen has caused rifts a few times is the question of kids, children, right? Children. I think it's more rampant now in our time. During my papa time, they weren't born children. In fact, during my papa time, they born they start. You understand? Like when you're a banker, and I don't know of now, but few years, maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago, if you get a bank job, everybody can just assume and say, last, if they go start you up on salary, no go past 150. This kind of 150, 180, bad as it bad, 200. But most times, no be 200. They start like that kind of 150, depending on the bank. So there are startup salaries that we have an idea of, we can guess, right? So it's the same thing with, it's the same thing when it comes to family, rearing a family. In my parents' time, most of them will say they will start up with 7 children. Yeah, they will start up with 7 children, and by reason of strength, they will end at the 15th one. And isn't it amazing that in that time, no, let me not go into that. But you really get the gist. So it is important that there are men and there are women who actually don't even want kids, right? When they get married, they actually don't want kids. Some just want to adopt. Some for personal reasons. Some is just what they want. Some are not necessarily, dealing with a medical challenge, but that's just a preference that they have. So it's important that if you're a man or you're a woman who wants kids and it's a big deal for you, it's going to be a challenge, going into a relationship with someone and you've gone 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, you've introduced this person to all of your family members and you've never even bothered to find out, does this person want to have children? That's number one. And then number 2 is, after I establish that this person wants to have children, how many children does this person want to have? That's another thing, So those are critical questions also that should be asked on a first date. And it might sound a little bit too serious to say a first date. How do you ask, children, how many kids you want to have, or if you even want to have kids in the first place? You see, so this is where being yourself and building friendship comes in. Now, you don't just walk up to someone and you just begin to tell the person, you're my wife. When I woke up this morning and I was applying cream on my body, I realized that there was a missing rib. There was a hollow. When I shook hand, my hand entered, come on the other side. Nah, it doesn't work that way. I don't think there's a lady that would take you seriously. So friendship is the bedrock of a beautiful relationship. So how you ask these questions also, I know that's not the topic for today, but I think it's just imperative that I chip it in. How you ask this question also, how you set the mood for your first date is extremely important. Okay, so there's a way that you would set the mood, right? And the person will be free enough to be transparent and be open with you. But there's also a way, I don't know if you've met those kind of people who, you hang out with, and the date is like you came for an interview. It's so straight to the point. What's your name? My name is Daniel. Okay, how old are you? Blah, blah, blah. I'm 21 years old. Okay, great. How about you? Oh, me? What do you want to know? Ask the question. Okay. What's your name? He tells. Where are you from? Imo State. Oh, Imo State. What part of Imo? Olu. You didn't tell me. What state are you from? It's not an interview. You're meeting someone, you want to be friends with this person. So it has to be, let me give you an instance. So you call this person up, how you doing? How's the day going? So yeah, I'm the same guy you met yesterday, right? So I was just thinking, could we hang out later, after work this evening? And she probably says yes. That would be a great idea. And then you're like, okay, so where would you like to pick as a good spot? Where do you like to hang out usually? Where do you consider serene? Where do you consider a very good place, to talk? Okay. Now, I'm using the instance of to talk and not maybe a concert. There's nothing wrong with going on a concert, right? But I should want to know who you are, your value system, first off, before I begin to have those kind of other, more social engaging gatherings, right? So, because, we hang out, we go on a concert, and we don't really get to talk. Now, one of the reasons why, should I go? No, let me not go into that. But, so, the primary aim of dating is for you to get to know a person, okay? It's for you to get to know a person. So, okay, so she tells you, oh, I have a few, maybe 3, spots that I like in town. But duh, you're the man. So why don't you take the lead? You pick a place. It's your idea. So you as a guy, you pick the place, right? And you guys, you hang out. Take her on a date. You go, you pick her from home or from work or whatever it is. Or if you guys decide, it's not rigid. If you guys decide to meet at a central location, great. Okay? And you meet, you hang out, you talk. From the moment you enter, you're asking questions. Oh, you didn't get to pick, you're telling the lady you didn't get to pick your favorite spot because, you gave me the veto power as the guy to pick the spot. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And she's like, oh, you're welcome. And then you ask her stuff like, do you really like the ambience? Do you like the lights? Do you like, you're walking in and you're talking. That already eases the lady up. So she could even be like, oh, Omo, I'm even glad I didn't pick the spot I was thinking because this place actually looks way better. So you're like, really? Okay, cool. You get to your table, you pull the chair for her. Most Nigerian men don't believe in chivalry anymore, but then I do, right? I do. So, the point is, you can't know a person in a tense environment. So, as much as the topic is critical questions, right? You can't afford to have critical questions in a tense environment. I don't know if that makes sense. You have to win the person's trust. You have to make the person relaxed. You have to make the person feel like he or she is not in an interview. You have to make the person feel like, I mean, especially for, I was going to say, especially for people like us. I think almost not everybody. I think almost everybody has been hurt in one way or the other. But especially for people who have been really, really hurt, I can really understand to an extent. I can understand how you build a wall, you're careful, so you're sizing this person, you're checking, the person laughs in a certain way, and in your brain you're thinking, why is this person laughing like my ex? I hope it's not related. I hope it's not first because this is my ex. I hope they don't share the same gene. I understand, and those things comes from the place of hurt, right? But it is imperative that you enjoy the moment. It's imperative that you enjoy the moment. It's imperative that you maximize the moment, because when you don't do that, you inevitably make the other person uncomfortable, and by so doing, you don't get to know this person for who they are. So just a very quick recap. I started by mentioning faith. It's important to know the faith of the person that you are relating with, right? It's important you know the person's faith. Also, it is important to, I talked about faith. I talked about, what am I missing out? Paul. I talked about faith. I talked about children, if the person wants to have children, and then how many children they would even want to have, right? So let me go to the comments. I think we'll have one comment on ground, and this comment is from Queen Rema. Hi Queen, how you doing? Yeah, Queen says, I think asking about the family background and personal interest is also a crucial question. I totally agree with you, Queen. I totally agree with you. Asking about the person's family background, Queen says, and personal interest is also a crucial, critical question. Why do you have to ask about a person's background? Because nobody really falls from heaven, right? Trees don't just show up. Trees are planted, they break the ground, you see the stalk, and then they become a tree. And from trees, a tree doesn't just end up being a tree can become a forest, right? So there is always a trend. There is always, the word genealogy. In genealogy, you get genes, right? I don't mean your blue gene, but you have genes, genealogy. So genealogy is what's the word now? It is family, is generations, right? And for every generation, there's always there are similarities because they share common genes. So it is important that you ask about family backgrounds. For instance, of course, let me be realistic. I don't think a person whose family, who has the background where they have a lot of mentally challenged people, would open up to you on a first date. There might be a few people who would open up, but that depends on the conversation and how, you go about, the conversation. But I don't think there will be people who would do that, right? So it's important to know family background. It's important to ask questions. How do I say this nicely? Your life is too important for you to leave it to guesswork. You can't afford to think you are probing so much with someone that you're trying to spend the rest of your life with, right? So it is imperative that you do actually probe. You have to probe. You have to probe. I mean, even when we're kids, we did, interscience. I can't remember the entire step. I think it's about 11 steps for scientists to come to in creating whatever it is they create. But there's hypothesis, right? There's observation, there's hypothesis, but they don't end at hypothesis. That hypothesis has to go through experimentation. And after the experimentation, then you get your conclusion. But and you see, this is the reason why we're expecting a very beautiful edifice called relationship. But then the foundation is wrong. Because the foundation is built on hypothesis, it's built on assumption. So you are hoping for something that doesn't exist. You are hoping, you're creating a mental picture in your mind that this other person doesn't have to offer you in the relationship. So in your first dates, you owe it to yourself. I mean, you've been through so much, you've made so much investment, whether it's educational, career-wise, from every ramification, you've invested so much in yourself, not for you not to actually ask those questions. So it could be health. It could be a health challenge that you need to know about this family background. It could be character. It could be traits. It could be habits. It could be anger issues, right? I mean, there are families that I'm already laughing in my head. There are families that they can be so angry that they don't even know a naked wire. They can just hold naked wire in the verse. And it go shock them, but they no go fall. That's how angry they can be. You need to know. And if you know that a person can be that angry that he sees a naked wire and he can hold on to it, then you know that person will go feel hold naked wire, go feel also be very good artist to reproduce 5 fingers on your fluffy cheeks. Do you understand? So it's just basic things. So when the guy on the babe is telling you, and this is not a gender thing, ladies you can find very, 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 you can find ladies that deal with anger, serious anger issues. We've seen a couple, right? We've seen a couple on IG who would destroy things, throw tantrums and all that. So it's not a respect of gender. So in your conversation, you need to learn, you need to listen for this gist, for these conversations, for these stories. Sometimes they're just telling you a story of how, Popsy, we all travel to the village and Popsy does something in public and it's just despicable, and you should begin to calculate in your head, okay, if this babe Popsy they do like this, and this babe Popsy, no be say they adopt her, the gene they run inside her, I need to look closely when it comes to. Now, you're not drawing conclusions from a story, but you're only paying more attention to that story that was given to you to say that this thing, you gave me 3 stories in our hangout tonight, and all stories was about your father destroying stuff or how your mother slapped your father. I just read something, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, about how was it a father who slapped a mother and a 17-year-old slapped the father. Now, it is easy for you to say, oh, how dare the boy do that? And that's totally wrong on every level, right? But before you point finger at the child, we need to find his roots. Remember, a tree doesn't just appear. It begins as a seed. So what is the seed that is being sown? What is the family background? What is the chain? What is reoccurring in that family? So like I said, it could be mental, right? It could be mental, it could be a character trait, it could be a habit, right? It could sometimes also not even be an action. It could even be an inaction. There are families that are extremely laid back to a fault. So if you're a lady and I was going to say you managed, but someone might, not get the context I'm trying to say. So let me change the word. If you're a lady and you're probably a firstborn and you were able to, you lost your dad and you were able to help your mom alongside to train your siblings in school and all of that, you will not just throw your life to a guy who is totally laid back. I don't think a sensible lady would do that, right? So you would want to watch out. What is this guy's what is his daily routine like? What is his daily routine? And you can't know that you can't know everything from just a first date, but you can have a clue to who this person is and what this person is capable of doing. So you begin to look at what is his daily routine like. You look at things like what are his short-term goals, what are his long-term goals, how far has he come, what has he done, or is he the kind of person that just sits back and hopes that somebody helps him, right? I believe in help. I receive help. Well, I'm learning to receive help. I started learning to receive help when I realized that I'd been so independent. And now let me flip it and digress a bit. Being independent is beautiful. There's just so much to say. Being independent is beautiful, right? But it can also be a disadvantage when you are coming to build a family. Why? Because you have somebody, a partner who is trying to love you, who is trying to give you affection, and you're shutting the person out in the name of being independent. It has a way of pushing people away. So you have to find the balance where you're not totally laid back and having an entitlement mentality, but at the same time you can push and you know when to stay back and receive love. That is also important, and you can know that also you can have a clue about that on the first date, right? I'm still waiting for our comments. Thank you so much, Queen, for that comment. Chindo is here to find wife. Yes, he sent me DM. He couldn't put it on air because he doesn't want the ladies to read, but I just exposed him. Chindo, the only way you can find wife here on AfroM is when you participate. I'm just kidding. There's no rule like that in AfroM. Our doors are open, okay? So we'll begin to round off very soon. We're almost out of time. So we talked about family background, health. We talked about character traits. We talked about actions and inactions, right? Actions and inactions. One of the two can either make or mar, okay? Inaction or actions. Being able to take responsibility is also something that you should be able to decipher from a first date. Like I said, you can't know everything on a first date, but you can get a clue on certain things. You sure can get a clue. And let me quickly say this. Being responsible or taking responsibilities is not gender. It's not what's the word? It's not restricted to a particular gender. It's really not. I mean, can you imagine a family of 6 girls, and then the firstborn decides that she's not going to do anything meaningful with her life or help her siblings or her mom because she's a girl, or because responsibilities is a manly thing, going out to get food or get a job is a manly thing, not a... I mean, there are people who think this way. There are people who believe that their body should be what fetches them money. So I shouldn't live one day of my life to see sweat on my brow, right? But a man should do all the work and I should collect all the money. Now, when you have a first date and you relate to such a lady, you begin to know that this is not the kind of person that you want to work all your life, give money to. She will squander it. This person is not thinking investment. This person is not thinking of how to come into your life to help you amplify what you're already doing. This person is here to chop and clean out and go. So when you have it all rosy all together, this person is definitely going to be there. But when the chips are down, you most likely won't find such a person. Why? Because taking responsibility is you going, it's how do I put it? You see, people think that they actually lose themselves when they take responsibility, but it's the opposite. You actually find yourself when you take responsibilities. It's the same thing with volunteering in a place. You don't know your leadership skills until you begin to volunteer in certain capacities. When you begin to volunteer, what happens is that you are given tasks and challenges pop up. Now, you can be given a task that you can handle and you're all excited. But while you're carrying out that task, right, A challenge that you didn't probably envisage pops up. Your wittiness, your spontaneity to be able to handle that challenge is for you. The experience you gain in that process is for you. So responsibility is, like we say here in Africa, hard work no the key man, right? But I don't believe in just hard work and aimless hard work. No, I believe in hard work and smart work, right? So it is not gender based. Being responsible is for you. It is for you to have a good name for you. It is for you to build experience for you, right? So if it's vice versa. If it's a guy who is laid back and, I mean, we can't even argue. This thing, it did happen right now. We have guys who just want a sugar mommy, right? They just want a sugar mommy. Just chill, chop, and go. And what you don't understand is you're doing yourself the harm. You're doing yourself the harm. So these things, they're really key to what you. Yeah, so my boss, Mr. Mo Semako is online. He says, yes, you will know, but we cover our eyes because of our desires. That's so true. That's so true. Oh, by the way, Mr. Mo, I miss you. I miss you. I know do drum roll for you today. Yeah, so Mr. Moses says, yes, you will know, but we cover our eyes because of our desires. And that's so true. We do that a lot. And our desires begins to cloud objectivity, logic. God created emotion and logic. I hope you know that men have emotions, because men have emotions. It's just that our primary default functioning is such that women express emotions better, sometimes process decisions better via emotions, even though there are ladies. In fact, I spoke with a new friend 2 days ago who was telling me that she's more logical than emotional. So yeah, there are exceptions. But primarily, women are a lot more emotional and they express it better than men do. So you also have to be brutally honest with yourself. And that's what Mr. Moses is saying. You have to be brutally honest with yourself such that you don't just like a guy. You don't just like a babe because they fine, they get money. That one day, it's imperative that you have that. However, it is important that you begin to ask yourself critical questions that, is my desire clouding objectivity? Am I seeing that I can't handle a person who is so negative? I mean, a pessimist, right? A pessimist is someone who sees negativity, never sees possibility of anything working in life. If you know you can't handle such a person, but as a guy now, you look the babe, say, this babe, you see hips, and then the hips be like hexagon. And that is all that is driving you. Bro, you will see other ladies that have hips like nonagon. So what will you do? If you go for nonagon, you will see decagon. So what will you do? Would you go with your desires at the expense of what will make you happy? I don't know if that makes sense. So we need to not let our desires cloud our judgments. We have to find a meeting point between our emotions and our logic. And the truth is, many times it is important to have the butterflies, but many times in building a lasting relationship, it is imperative that you engage your logic. Okay? So as I begin to round off, this one where my big organs just they show up this evening. We have Mr. Emmanuel Chris. Good evening, sir. It's good to have you online this evening. It's really a delight. Mr. Emmanuel Chris is the brain behind Ready for Marriage, and we're delighted to have you online, sir. We're delighted. See, but something just happened now. I just remember those days when at the party. You know, small children, and then they come party early. When party they hot, you understand? When party they hot, now when don't they enter midnight, Now then, nine big boys they come. That's why my guys then they shop at this juncture. But it's a delight to have you, sir, Mr. Emmanuel, online. So yeah, back to the topic for today was saying what are the critical, what do you consider the critical questions that you should be asking? Okay, so let me just have a rundown for those that are just joining us. I talked about faith. It is important that you share like faith. It is important that you share like faith, especially if you want to have children, you know, ultimately when you get married, you want to have children. It is imperative that you share like faith, whether you're Muslim, or you're Christian, or you're Hindu, or you're Buddhist, or you're African, traditional African, whatever it is. It makes life easier that you can be on this, not just the same page, but on the same paragraph. And it makes it easier for your children. So you don't have 4 kids and 2 want to be a particular faith, 2 want to be a particular faith, and you always have rifts in your home. It is something that can be avoided, right? So I talked about faith. I also talked about asking the question of if the partner you want to build a serious relationship with wants to have children, because in this generation we have people who don't actually want to have kids. We have people who want to just adopt, and that's fine if it works for them. So you need to know that and not assume. And then when you get to know if they want to have kids, you also need to know how many kids do you want to have. It's imperative. And then Queen Rema actually contributed, and she said that it's imperative that you also ask about family background. And for family background, I talked about, you know, finding out if there are patterns, if there are health challenges, you know, maybe from the 4th generation, the firstborn, they craze. You no need to be prophet. If it be say your own firstborn come craze, God forbid, we no pray for such. But I'm just saying, ask questions, you know, ask questions, right? We also talked about personal interest. Queen Rema talked about personal interest. Now, I think this is extremely important. It might sound like it's not serious, but I can bet you it is extremely important. When you share hobbies, like hobbies, now, it works 2 ways. You could have somebody who loves, for instance, football. The babe loves football. I have 2 friends like that in Jos. You have a babe who loves football, and you have a guy who loves football. It makes life easy. It makes life easy if the lady likes to watch football at home. It could make the guy begin to go out less and stay at home more when they get married, right? And if it happens to be that the lady wants to hang out with the guy, they go to the viewing center and have fun. Oh, beautiful, great. So you have to look out for interest, common interest. And then the flip side is that you can also have a partner who don't share exactly the same interest with you, and that's fine. But then you have to find a point of compromise. So that's where complementing comes in. So for instance, let's say for instance, I'm in the financial sector. I'm probably a forex trader, but my wife is, let's say, she's a baker. She loves events. She's a wedding planner, and she's into confectionaries and all of that, right? I don't have a passion for that, but I can support her. I can decide that, okay, I'm going to connect her, you know, with my colleagues in the office, get everyone's birthday, and make sure that they patronize my wife. I might not necessarily know how to bake, but I can also decide to be in the kitchen with her when she's baking. I can decide to help her mix the flour. Now, we don't exactly share the same passion, but we are complementing each other. She also, while she's baking, she could just have a thing for listening to business news. You know, when you have 7 o'clock news or whatever it is, 9 o'clock news, you have the business segment, you have the sports segment, and all of that. So your wife probably has a thing for listening to, you know, business news, but she's not good with figures. But she could help you, she could give you counsel on how to make investments as a broker. So it works both ways, right? Personal interest is extremely important. Personal interest is extremely important. You don't want to be dragging someone for the rest of your life who is not interested in what you are interested in. It is important. And then this also is extremely important when you've had kids and your kids are all grown, gone to school, married, and it's just you and your wife in a very big mansion. It is important that you have interest that you can, because what interest does is this. It does two things. Interest helps your communication, and interest is, how do I put this? Interest is the pod, right? Love is the P. P-E-A. Love is the P, interest is the pod. So interest is what facilitates, is the grease, is what greases your love life. So I'm sure you've heard people say that married people don't have sex every day for the rest of their lives. No. What do? They talk. So would you want to live in a house with someone who is not your friend? How are you going to be having those conversations? One of those ways you can grease your love life is by having similar interests. And in the case where you don't have similar interests, you find a point of compromise where you can complement each other and encourage each other. Finally, Chindo is saying, do you enjoy what you do for a living? You don't carry us, they enter one other topic within my mind. Yeah, but that's a good one. Do you enjoy what you do for a living? That's a question you should be asking on a first date. It's not just okay to say, oh, I work in the bank. There are a lot of depressed bankers, right? So there are ladies who just like the idea of an 8 to 5. My guy does 8 to 5 and I love how the tie sits on his fat neck. But the question is he happy? Because if your guy is not happy where he's working, it go dey transfer aggression. So it's important that, thank you so much, Chindo, for that comment. It's important you ask on the first date, do you enjoy what you do for a living? Okay? So as I begin to wrap up, I have one more I'd like to share with us, one more question. And I had to leave this particular question as the last question, as the last question, simply because it's a lot more serious and it's a lot more deep, okay? And what is this question? You can ask this question in a very light mood so that you don't scare your dates away, okay? There's a way you ask this question I'm about to ask, and you already send the message that you want to have a serious, committed relationship. At the same time, you're not trying to scare him or her away. So what is this question? One of those questions that I think is imperative to ask so that you don't waste each other's time is, what is your genotype? Very important. What is your genotype? So, I mean, guys, SS, girl is AS, and you're falling helplessly in love. You're falling in love so much that king tergede means you don't do dislocation, maybe for ankle. Then the guy is now telling you 1 year later, you've told a lot of suitors you are not interested, you have a serious committed relationship. You said you no ask, and the guy no tell you. Then you probably even have had an engagement, and then you now decide to ask about your genotype. Excuse me. You ask about your genotype, and you find out one person is AS, the other person is SS. You know how they say it, yeah? That for men, for women, what works against them, for lack of a better word, is time. Women have a challenge when it comes to biological clock, so when they are making decisions, when they are meeting a guy, they are asking themselves, do I see myself with this person in the next 3 years? So that's why when there's a breakup, the woman she's heartbroken, yes, but if you listen to her many times, what she's talking about is that the guy wasted my time. You hardly hear a guy say a lady wasted their time. Of course, his time also was wasted. But many times for a guy, it's usually monetary, is prestige, is ego. So it is about resources for a man, okay? It's about resources because he's using resources to pursue this lady. He's using resources to woo her. He's using resources to make her happy. Even though that is not the first thing you should put out there, because if you do that, it probably means that you're insecure about something. You should bring out who you really are. Of course, there should be gifts. There should be other things to cushion. But for men, many times it is resources. But for women, many times it is time. It is time wasted. So you wouldn't want to go so far and then you realize that your genotype isn't aligning. So that's one question that I think also that you should ask. Okay, Chindo right now is on fire simply because I threatened him that we no go give him a wife except him. Except him. Nice one, Chindo. So Chindo says one of the questions you ask is, what was your dream job when you were a kid? Yeah, you might say this doesn't count, but for me, I think it does count because it also shows a way of you being able to be versatile, being able to adapt, especially in a country like Nigeria. Growing up, let me expose myself. Growing up, if I even talk this on some Nigerians say, you myself, you know where. I think it was just because I was exposed to a lot of American movies and all that. So growing up, for a major part of my life, I wanted to be an astronaut. Yeah, and even as an adult, I still love astronomy so much. I love astronomy. At some point, I wanted to be a soldier. You know, my mom, we tried for me to go to NMS. It didn't work. That's Nigerian Military School. It didn't work. So it was just for a moment. I ended up attending Air Force Secondary School. But it was, yeah, shout out to my Air Force guys. So it was just for a moment. But the stronger passion was astronomy. But then we now live in a society where, guy, even mechanical engineer never see the thing where they teach am for textbook for the university. Talk more to come practice am. Then astronomy. The only thing, and I say this with due respect, please, the only thing we have been able to successfully fly as a country is kite. God, I'm tired of myself. No, but I'm being realistic with us. No, if I'm wrong, please, I'm open to correction. We've not gone to space. We don't have, you get what I'm saying? So somehow you just begin to, your dreams either begin to die or you have to find a way to reroute and hope that somewhere in the future you can come back to your childhood dream. So that is also important for you to ask what your dream job or what you wanted to become in future as a kid. And why do I say it's important? It's important because in relationship, it is not a straight-jacketed thing. It is not a one-way street. You have to be dynamic in your thinking and your engagement in your actions. So if there's something I expect from my lady, or if there's something you as a lady expect from your guy, and it doesn't come the way you expect it, do you walk out on the relationship or do you find a way around it? And this, finding a way around it makes the both of you become better, makes the both of you become good leaders. And which is one other thing that I've always wanted to have in a wife. I think every man also can relate to this. I think it's something every man would want, where you are a leader, you're able to, cast a vision and say, this is where we're headed, this is the direction. And your wife is able to help you with the details, because many times we have few men who are quite meticulous with details, but not so many men are that meticulous with details. But ladies are. They multitask. They're very good with details. So you want to have a woman who is intelligent that can help you with details. But beyond that, you want it to be that when you are absent, your wife can take that role as though you were never absent and really drive the family, right? So when one thing doesn't work, does your wife just give up? No. This is what we discussed. This is what we wanted. It did not work out. Why is my life like this? No. Do you pick yourself up? These are qualities that you can ask. So Chindo actually said that, and thank you so much for that. I think it's been quite a long night. Yeah, I think it's been quite a long night. Can we take 5 more pictures if our network is good? So we just see 5 more pictures as we begin to round off for tonight. So far, I just want to say a very big thank you to everyone who has been a part of this live. Please don't go yet. We're not done. So I want to say thank you to the first person who was Kilty Chindo. It's Queen Rema. It's Queen Rema. It's Queen Rema. Thank you so much. You didn't just show up, Queen Rema, but you also contributed. Thank you, Mr. Moses Semako. Thank you so much. I miss you right here. And Mr. Emmanuel Chris, thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity and for joining us on live tonight. Yeah, so we have a picture. Woo! This is my friend. Oh, this is my. I just open eye and now my friend I see. Okay. So beautiful picture, good pose, good pose, good pose. It's not beautiful. It's beautiful also because she followed the criteria. So if you're doing a selfie, it won't count. If you're doing an AI picture, it won't count. We want it real and classy. Okay, great. This looks like Photoshop, Paul. Am I correct? Yeah, it looks like Photoshop. Well, if that works for you, I'm not the judge, but I'm just here to review and help you just in case you really want to win our 1 million so you can give your best. Oh, I love this picture. Beautiful, shyly smile. Good, good background, good picture, good edits. Beautiful. Next picture, we could take 4 or 5 more. Okay, great pose. Oh, sister. This kind of stuff like, I can't come and go and kill myself. Nice one. Sister. Auntie, are you in Nigeria or you're outside of Nigeria and you want to win our 1 million from outside Nigeria? You look really classy. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next, I love your hair. I don't know what they call it. Is it Banta, African Banta or something? Okay, so this brother is already praying. Father, I must win this 1 million. Father, I must win this 1 million. Now I make you close eye, bro. All right, nice picture. Nice. Let's see some more before we call it a night. Oh, this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. I love the eyes. I hope I don't wake up in the night and see my wife's eye like this, but it's a beautiful picture. Okay, great picture, sir. I love the yellow and the white background. Okay, this definitely looks like an artist. I love the face art. I love the fact that it's not a selfie. Great picture. Yo, I'm giving you a peace sign too, sister. The background, Sha. Okay, but you know bad. Beautiful one. Okay, 3 more. You see, I supposed to say 1 more, but I'm saying 3 more because I'm loving the pictures. Okay, this one looks like a scholar. Good background. I like it. It's artistic. I wish you smiled, but it's a good picture, right? So 3 more. No, we've seen this. Okay, now this is artistry. I love the confidence. And the pose and the background. Thank you so much. Let's have 2 more. Or more. It's like this guy acted with Bruce Lee. The way he bone face. Lovely picture. Okay, so this is going to be our last picture for tonight, and I love the pose. I think this is one of my favorite poses of all the pictures so far, and I love the dress also. I love the hair. Wow. I love the makeup. I can see the makeup also. It's not so loud. It just matches her skin tone. Great picture. Great picture. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a delight being on the show tonight from here at the R4M studio. Tomorrow night we're going to be here again, and hopefully we're going to have the general also hopefully with us. The thing be like tit for tat, 2 weeks ago I wasn't around, last week I wasn't around, and I miss you all. I miss you all so much. And the general did a very beautiful and great job. And today I'm sitting in also for him, and hopefully by tomorrow he's going to be here. I'm going to rock this party. Again, this is R4M as I begin to draw the curtains. This is R4M. R4M stands for Ready for Marriage. And this is that very platform where you find your dream woman, you find your dream man that you've always wanted to get married to. We help you make it easy to connect with your man or your woman. Also, we help you facilitate the process. We help you go through, this is not just about dating and boyfriend, girlfriend. No, this is about actually ending up in marriage. That is what we're about. We're also a tech startup, and we've been talking about our app, which is coming up, and you really don't want to miss it. So stay tuned on this very channel, on this very platform, and please do well to share. The more you share, the bigger you are, because it is he who gives that receives. Okay, so please do well to share our videos. The contents we're putting out here are loaded, especially in the times that we live in. Okay, so please do well to shape other people's mind from the content that we dish out here in R4M Studios. And I remain your very own Prolific, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow night, same time, 7 p.m. For tonight, it's going to be okay. The general is not here. I don't know how I'm going to draw the curtains, so I think I'm going to use my mic to draw the curtains. Thank you so much. I love you. God bless you. Enjoy your rest.